To classify a video as an ultimate book video, or as I like to call it, a cumulative video of bookish things I've been meaning to do but wouldn't be long enough for a full video, it needs some variation of the following three things. The first being our favorite pastime activity, say it with me, reading, book shopping, and of course a haul to accompany that. Next, a way to channel all that creative energy lying dormant in the brain while reading. And then lastly, a little TBR moment. So let's get started. We are starting this video off with a trip to Barnes. I haven't been since the after Christmas sale. If we want to get in specifics, I don't think I've been to this Barnes since summer. Yeah, summer Halloween, I believe. I've really reduced my trips to Barnes because I go in, I come out with books. There's no other outcome. We're going to be doing a little collective haul later in this video, so I'm really just going today to look around, see what's new. I'm so funny, but I'm feeling like out of touch with the new releases. This is going to sound a bit strange coming from me, but I really want to get a sci-fi book today. That's a genre I don't read much of, but I've had this urge recently that I must quench. Oh my god, what is with the bee? Taylor, is that you? Oh my god. I just found the perfect bookmark for me. That is so me. Okay, I'm not getting it, but kind of want to. Wait, these ones are actually really cute. There's a cat and a dog. Oh, that's so cute. Dropping books. I'm dropping books here. Hi, it's the next day. I have two words for that. The Iliad. It's so long, it's so long. I did get two books from Barnes, unsurprisingly. Let's start with the sci-fi, Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This is a book that I've been going back and forth on for a while on whether or not I actually wanted to read it, because I would watch one video where someone would be giving it rave reviews, and then the next, someone else would just be tearing it apart. But then I saw Olivia Reads a Latte read this recently, giving it glowing reviews and basically making up my mind for me. I'm literally like the most indecisive person you will meet. So thank you, Olivia. I heard from Olivia that it's best to go into this blind, but I'm pretty sure this starts off with our protagonist waking up alone in a space shuttle, not knowing how he got there, and then the story kind of kicks off from there. So I'm super excited to get to this. Again, I've been in such a sci-fi mood. I go through these, you know, a couple times a year, so had to get a book for that. You know when you come across a book you've been looking for and it's like the last copy, and so then you're like, this is a sign. I wasn't really planning on buying any more books today, but clearly you and I were destined for each other. Yeah, that's what happened to me. I first learned about this book, How to Kill Men and Get Away From It. Sorry, Get Away With It by Katie Brent, even before the paperbacks hit the shelf, back when it was just available digitally. I think we can agree, even without reading the synopsis, it's a very Sarah-coded book. But what exactly is this book about? Basically, our protagonist in here kills a guy and then accidentally gets addicted to it. That's it. That's all we know. This just seems so unhinged and ridiculous, meaning it sounds like fun. Okay, let's do one of the packages that I shoved in my corner for the past 2 months, sitting there looking all pretty, taunting me. Hold up, sorry I didn't do this earlier. We're just gonna stick those right there. One of you guys commented on a previous video of mine how much you loved this book and that I should read it. Little did you know, I already had this book in my cart. Our taste, guys. Impeccable. Strange Sally Diamond by Liz Nugget. Whenever I read this title, I think of myself. That kind of sounds conceited. No, because my family calls me Sal, which came from salamander. Don't ask me why, I don't know. Which came from Sally, which is a nickname for Sarah. So Sal is a nickname for salamander, which is a nickname for Sally, which is a nickname for Sarah. Basically, not to be confusing or anything. Oh my god, a free bookmark. It's kind of ugly. Just advertising another book, okay. In this book, we have Sally, who is a bit of an odd one. She also takes things quite literally, like she takes care of her father, but she was only doing what he asked her to do, so can you really blame her? Even if that wasn't really what he meant. But now, present day, as recluse Sally steps into the world for the first time and starts to dissect her more sinister childhood, she begins to receive letters that seem to know more about her past than she does. As an avid reader, you come across so many books that just have like copy and paste protagonists, so I'm really excited to get into this, and I've heard nothing but good things. Next, I picked up Winter Street by Ellen Hildebrand. I did not pay $11.27 for that. That is wrong. This was only like $4 or something. It was a good deal. That's why I love Book Outlet. This was actually one of the books that served as a confirmation to myself that I was indeed placing this order. I read the Winter in Paradise trilogy last winter, so I've been wanting to pick up the Winter Street series this winter. Never mind that winter is almost over. March? Is it spring? Is it winter? Who's to say, really? This series was initially released in 2014, but this year they underwent a cover change, and I like it. It's very on brand for Ellen Hildebrand. Why did I not know this takes place over Christmas? Christmas is over. Listen to this, listen to this. As Christmas approaches, Kelly is looking forward to spending some quality time with his family at the end. But when he walks in on his wife, Mitzi, kissing Santa Claus, I saw mommy kissing Santa Claus. It's giving those vibes, right? It sounds like we basically follow a dysfunctional family who runs Nantucket's Winter Street Inn, but as winter approaches, a lot of chaos and drama occurs. I wouldn't expect anything else from Miss Hildebrand. Next, is this a large print? I am so confused. I thought this was supposed to be a hardcover, but you know, it was 2 months ago. I can't remember. It also has like deckled edges. Don't love that, but okay. Sherry Lapina is one of my favorite thriller authors, so when I saw Everyone Here Is Lying on Book Outlet, I of course immediately added to my basket. I've read all of her books and loved most of her books. Everyone Has a Few Duds. And like, I know how great of an author Sherry Lapina is, but I'm so glad that other people have finally been enlightened about her talent. I'm purposely avoiding reading the synopsis because I really want that full blindsided experience, but I believe this revolves around a missing child. Honestly, not a super unique premise, but if anyone can revamp an overused trope, it's Sherry Lapina. So I'm excited nonetheless. You know when no one else talks about a book except one person, but they liked it, so you're like, oh, so what I'm hearing is I'll like it. That's how Anonymous Girl ended up in my cart. I have read and enjoyed another book by this author duo, Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekanen, The Golden Couple. Great book. So I'm excited to give another book of theirs a go. It sounds like this thriller revolves around our protagonist entering into a psychological study about morals and ethics, which is a bit ironic because I believe the boundaries between experimenter and experimentee starts to blur, leading to obsession. Between whom? I don't know. I think maybe a two-way obsession going on? I'm not really sure. Sounds like fun. And then lastly, from Book Outlet, I got The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman. The first book in the series, I think I read maybe 2 years ago now. Dude, time moves so fast. And I just thought it was okay. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. So I wasn't really sure if I was going to continue with the series, but I don't know. I feel like I'm entering into my cozy mystery era. Leave me all your cozy recs down below. And what else just gets you into those feels than a book about elderly people in a retirement community solving crimes? We love a late in life peek. I also have some books from Second and Charles to show y'all from when I went like over winter break. Yeah, I'm telling you, these have been sitting in my corner for like 2 months. The first two books I picked up were The Risk and The Chase by Elle Kennedy, which are a part of the Briar U series, which is a part of the Off Campus series, which I still need to finish. If these weren't like $4 each, I probably wouldn't have bought them because although I enjoy the Off Campus series, it's not something I get the urge to read very often. But you know, I thought to myself, if there was ever going to be a time that I would buy these, it might as well be when I could get them for cheaper. And that is why my TBR is in a constant upwards trend. You could say good book deals are my Achilles heel. When you reference the class you're taking in the outside world. Yeah, that was also the required literature joke for the video. I finally got my hands on the iconic yet very divisive book, Bunny by Mona Awad. I feel like as time has gone on, I've seen more negative reviews about this book come out. I still really want to read this though because I feel like this is a type of book that you just have to read for yourself and form your own opinion about. This is supposedly set at a university where our protagonist gets involved in this mean girl-esque clique/cult who call themselves the Bunnies. It's kind of an iconic name, not gonna lie. My expectations are low because I know that this does not work for a lot of people. So I'm hoping that if I go into this just, you know, not expecting much, maybe I will really enjoy it. We'll see. I also picked up I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. You just know from that title that this is going to be a really heart-wrenching read. This novel is supposed to make you feel creeped out and scared, though you don't really know why, all while exploring the human psyche and free will, which I find really interesting. I love exploring why people behave the way they do, so I'm excited to give this a go. And then lastly, from Second Charles, I picked up Cackle by Rachel Harrison. I'm realizing now that these last 3 books are all leaning more horror-esque. I guess I was in that kind of mood that day. But this is an author I've been wanting to try, as I've heard good things about her writing. She seems to write like occult fiction. Fiction with some type of magical creature, is that the right word? Element in it. It looks like we follow our protagonist as she moves to this small town where she befriends someone who may or may not be a witch. In the reviews I read about this book, a lot of people say that it's more of like a literary fiction with paranormal elements type read rather than a horror, which I think still sounds interesting. The person who owned this book before me annotated it a bit, which is really fun. I'm excited to see like what stood out to them. Let's open my book of the month box from February. My tote. If you don't know, after you ship so many boxes, you get a free tote. Seems like I buy books all the time. Okay, that's relative. I've been a subscriber to Book of the Month for years. I love their service, what can I say? That's cute. Wow, that's actually really big. You see, this is smart because if you bring this like book shopping or anything, you're basically advertising for them for free advertisement. This book has been everywhere recently. Book Talk, BookTube, and advertisements. They made a whole campaign about this book, and it clearly worked. That is Butchers and Blackbirds by Bryn Weaver. How I would define a Sarah book is this basically. This is a dark rom-com between 2 serial killers. Honestly, it had me a dark rom-com. It's kind of an oxymoron, but yeah, that's me. I think this might be a series. I was just on Amazon the other day, just browsing at books, not buying any, and I saw the second book in the series. My actual pick for the month was The Resort by Sarah Oakes. I thought this sounded like a great vacation type thriller. This book is set at a remote island in Thailand where people go to run from their past, including our protagonist, who is now a scuba instructor. But one morning after one of her classes, someone does not make it, making our MC reevaluate her life and the past that seems to be catching up to her. This is like that type of book that I probably wouldn't have even given a second glance at in store, probably because of the cover. It's pretty, but it's basic. But it sounds interesting, as I am deathly afraid of scuba diving. And look, I love swimming. I swam competitively growing up. But besides swimming, the only time you'll catch me below the surface is when I'm 6 feet under. Sorry, that was a bit dark. And I always love checking out new thriller authors, so I'm looking forward to this. And then I was so excited to see Dolly Alderton's new release, Good Material, as an add-on, as I was already planning on buying this book, so perfect. I loved Ghost by Dolly Alderton. I even had it on display on my shelf for a while there, and I've been waiting for Dolly Alderton to release another piece of fiction, as I think she writes characters so well and realistically. Side note, her covers, always stunning. The color blocking, love. I believe this follows an amateur comedian who is kind of hung up on his last girlfriend, but is re-entering the dating world. And if I know Dolly Alderton, I'm guessing this is going to be insightful and have that kind of dry sense of humor. So those were the books I bought over the past couple of months. I have no idea how long this video is going to be. So let's just move right on to our next activity. We're double cameraing it now, but if I pull out my phone, we could be triple cameraing it. Wow. For anyone who is unaware, this is my 2023 reading journal, which I have finally finished. Can I get a round of applause? I may be over 2 months late, but it's finally done. Well, almost. We'll be finishing up the last spread today. Excuse the cover, it's a little beat up. It's just well loved. And then after finishing it up, we can do a final flip through and look at everything all filled out. So the last spread is my 2023 bracket, where my monthly favorites will be going through a series of head-to-head battles until one remains, determining my favorite book of the year. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I do think I know which book's going to win, but this is just going to confirm that. And I think it's still going to be fun just to compare different books against each other to see how they would rank in my mind, since all of these are 5-star, if not close to being 5-star reads. The layout right before this one has all of my monthly favorites, so I'm just gonna start by transferring these over. And let the competitions begin. Wait. I think I set this up wrong. I should have made it so that these two go head to head and then these two and then these two, but okay, whatever. The Great Alone versus Ready Player One. I honestly didn't think it would be this hard. Fair warning, there's going to be a lot of agonization in this section. A historical fiction versus a sci-fi. Ready Player One is such a unique read. They both are really. The Great Alone is set in Alaska and is such a breathtaking, poignant story. Oh my god, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? The Great Alone just offered me personally more with the commentary and everything. So The Great Alone is moving on up, and then this one is moving on up because I set this up wrong. No, you can't. You can't do this to me. You can't do this to me. One of my favorite series versus a perfect book. Guys, I'm in pain. I'm in pain. I'm in premature pain because I think I know what I have to do. I'm sorry, Finley. I love you. Okay, The Swap versus The Weight of Blood. I did rate The Weight of Blood higher. The Swap I only gave 4.75, whereas The Weight of Blood I gave 5. So by that technicality, The Weight of Blood has to move up. Assistant to the Villain versus Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Both fantasy. I'm surprised, but I'm not really that surprised by how diverse the genres are across the board for my favorite book of the month. This one's actually pretty easy for me. Assistant to the Villain is so fun, and it felt like a Disney fairy tale romance. Loved it so much. Round 2, The Great Alone versus The Confidence of Wildflowers. It's going to have to be The Confidence of Wildflowers. Why do I keep spelling this wrong? I keep spelling it condiments. What? That doesn't even make sense. This is a controversial fave of mine that I will happily continue to love. Lessons in Chemistry versus The Last Word. The Last Word is a very fun, addicting thriller, but Lessons in Chemistry was a all-around, more developed read, and I can get the same feeling The Last Word gave me from a lot of thrillers, whereas I've not come across a book that has given me the same feeling Lessons in Chemistry has. I can't do this anymore. I can't. Both these books offer such great nuanced commentary around race. This is not fair. This is not fair. I'm going to have to choose Yellowface, only because this book is about writing in the publishing industry, which I am a sucker for. Assistant to the Villain versus Before the Coffee Gets Cold. Assistant to the Villain is the type of book I'd pick up if I want a cheesy good time. Before the Coffee Gets Cold, I'd pick up if I wanted a heartfelt, insightful read, which I think is harder to do if we were to compare writing cheese versus insightfulness. And so, although I love them both, and saying all that, Before the Coffee Gets Cold is moving on. Round 3, The Confidence of Wildflowers versus Lessons in Chemistry. This is so hard. A romance versus a historical fiction. I will defend The Confidence of Wildflowers any day, but Lessons in Chemistry it's a better book. We have to be real with ourselves. Yellowface versus Before the Coffee Gets Cold. This is like asking me to choose between books and coffee. Yellowface revolves around publishing books. Before the Coffee Gets Cold takes place at a coffee shop. What would I choose in real life? Books or coffee? I don't think I could. Oops, my camera stopped recording. Hopefully that happened fairly recently. Where were we? Books or coffee? This is not a fair question. This is going to sound sad, but I think I would choose coffee. Hold your horses, hear me out. How am I supposed to enjoy and comprehend what I'm reading if I don't have my happy juice? It would be a sad life without either. Let me know what you would choose down below. Now back to the task at hand. After that tangent, it seems logical that Before the Coffee Gets Cold would move up. But here's the thing. I love reading about anything book related, even more so than reading about something coffee related. So Yellowface is moving up. Round 4, the final 2. Lessons in Chemistry was one of the most popular books of 2022, and Yellowface was one of the most popular of 2023. Both are super different reading experiences. Lessons in Chemistry is definitely more of a wholesome feminist read, whereas Yellowface is more of a satirical, let me show you everything wrong with the publishing industry type of book. I'm not a rereader, but if I were to reread one, I would want to reread both. I feel like a big factor in getting me to love a novel is if after reading, I feel like the characters are now part of me. And only one of these books provided me with that. Lessons in Chemistry. I don't think that was a big surprise. I loved it so much. Where is it? There she is. I loved this book so much. If you have not read this, I'd highly recommend. It features a woman in STEM, a super sweet side plot of romance, such an iconic dog named 630, love, top-notch humor, and a cute little family. Oh my god, it was so good. Now for a final flip through of every layout fully complete. These first 2 pages are the same. We have my title page and my goals, which I think I did pretty good on, except maybe posting more bookish Insta content. That is something I still need to work on. Go follow me on Instagram at sarah.w01. Shameless plug if you want to see what I'm up to every once in a while when I post. I love how colorful the bookshelf layout came out. There's a good handful of purple and pink, which makes sense as that's thriller and and romance, which are my comfort genres, but there's also a good sprinkling of like other colors. My books read, I am just going to flip through. This is always so satisfying to look at. My series tracker, I did not fill in as much as I would have liked. It just wasn't that kind of year, and that's fine. I'm pretty proud with my A to Z and bingo challenge. There are only 3 letters I didn't get to on the A to Z side, and only 2 prompts on the bingo. These 2 were definitely the most unrealistic for me to complete. Again, I'm not a rereader, and I don't think I even own a book over 750 pages. I could be wrong, but I don't think I do. One that I haven't read. You know, if I just reread A Little Life, I could have checked both of those prompts off. Why would I do that though? That just seems painful. My TBR journal is another spread that is very satisfying to look at, to see all of the books I read off of my physical TBR. The 23 books I want to read in 2023 layout is kind of underwhelming. Okay, I read 11 out of the 23 books I want to read. That's almost half, but I'm going to make it a goal of mine for 2024 that I read at least 3/4 of the 24 books I want to read in 2024. My anticipated releases spread is basically the same. My author backlist layout is more filled out since the last time you saw it. I can't get over these little pockets. I just love how cute they are. My nonfiction reads, I only read 3 this year, all of which are memoirs. If I'm going to read nonfiction, it's more than likely going to be a memoir. I'm a very read because I want to read a story type of person. You know, I'm already reading textbooks out here for class, like not sure I want to do that in my free time. Those are nonfiction as well, so I could have included those as well, but I didn't, okay? I feel like that's just like a little unfair. Under each flap, I just have quotes that stuck out to me. The Double Trouble book swap layout. This was for a book club between me and my friend. We only did 4 months. Look, you know, that's... I'm hoping that the book club goes better this year. Y'all saw my monthly favorites, and we did this one today. Okay, the spreads coming up are the reason why this took me so long to finish. I made a spread for each of my monthly favorite. I either did something that reflects something in the book, such as the Pac-Man machine in the Ready Player One spread, or maybe I took inspiration from the cover, or just the vibes the book gave off, such as with The Great Alone. I loved how this one turned out for The Confidence of Wildflowers. I think it looks so pretty. For some of the spreads, I included a quote as well. So for example, on the lessons in chemistry side, I wrote one on this little recipe card. I also love how this one turned out for Finley Donovan Jumps the Gun. It's probably my favorite. My spread for the last word is on the right. If you have read the swap, this makes sense. Mushroom clouds though. Kinda cute. The Weight of Blood's layout is very sparkly. I wanted to go for a prom night took a bloody turn type of look. Yellow phase. I find this one so funny with the pancakes and the eyes. As I said previously, Assistant to the Villain is very fairy tale-esque, so I ran with it and came up with this. And then finally, we have my Harry Potter and the Before the Coffee Gets Cold layouts. Doing all these spreads just felt like making collages for your favorite books, which was obviously fun. A bit tedious, but fun nonetheless. And then the last spread, y'all would have seen if you watched my Summerween vlog. Very cute. Yeah, so that was my finished 2023 journal. Now I can get back to working on my 2024 journal. Yay. I don't know why I'm being sarcastic. I did not think this video would be a 3-day affair, yet here we are. Trying to fit all these books on the TBR carts seems like a problem for another day. Shove these in the corner right there. There we go. I need to build my spring break TBR as I will not be with these beauties for a week. All I have planned for spring break is to read, edit, play The Sims. Sounds like a good time, but I need to choose a few books to bring with me. I'm definitely bringing Project Hail Mary. I could make this my next read and start this before break, but since I just finished a fantasy, I want to read like, you know, at least a book or 2 in between. Because to me, sci-fi and fantasy scratch the same itch, and I don't want to overload myself with books outside my comfort zone, but very excited to get to this over break. Let's throw in a romance. As it's been a minute, what am I going to be in the mood for though? That is the question. Let's do terms and conditions. Whenever I don't really know like what kind of romance I'm in the mood for, I usually just pick up the next book in whatever romance series is on my TBR. Is there like a motorcycle outside? And then I, of course, have to throw in a thriller. It'd be such a sad spring break if I didn't. I'm really just going off the vibes today. So let's go with The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry. This has been an anticipated read for me, and I've put it off long enough. I believe this is about two doctors who adopt this child that then just goes into creepy sicko mode on them. Ooh, does that sound like fun? I think 3 books is a good amount, especially because these two are pretty thick. Okay, well, this section was pretty short. I do want to do another iteration of the TBR jar picks my books, but I'll have to revamp my jar before I do that. So be on the lookout for that. That is really going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below if you like these ultimate book videos where we just do a number of bookish things together. We could switch them up each time, you know, go a little crazy. Let me know your thoughts. If you did enjoy it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It really does help me and my channel out a lot. You can also comment, interact, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. I'd really appreciate it. I hope you all are having a fantastic day, a fantastic week, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.